What about me? Good. What do you want to know? What's there to say? It's just stupidity. The cop kind. Our prisons can't decide if Martinez is part of Jamrock or the industrial harbor. Yours or mine, as if we somehow own parts of the city. Typical street gang mentality. So we've let the union make a mockery of law enforcement here, and now it's come to its natural conclusion. Well, sort of. It's less a matter of who gets to police Martinez than who has to. It's an orphan district, in other words. I think the dispatch desk just told both our stations about the hanging. There was quite the brouhaha at the 57th, I can tell you that. Time to settle it, they said. Cop off. But I assure you, I am not their finest or toughest with 102 cases solved. What I am is least interested in a pissing competition.
So, he volunteered to represent the 57th, but not out of competitiveness. On the contrary.
Martinez? Nothing. It's just a puddle at the end of some drain pipe. No one cares about this place. They care about sports. Most of our colleagues don't even know how to get here. North of the interchange doesn't exist.
A tremble comes over you. Another after effect of ethanol poisoning, perhaps, feels like leaves do when they rustle in the breeze, somewhere far away, below the turbine. The 41st and the 57th, the lieutenant was right. It's not about who gets what's north, it's about who doesn't. The silence carries.
Yes, I'm an unrepentant spoilsport. Yes, it's a wholly pointless matter. Forget I ever mentioned it.
He's actually glad it's addressed now. Because you're the best qualified. No, that doesn't seem right. You look dumb if you keep the lieutenant waiting for too long. It's getting late, and it's raining. Time to call it a day.
Good night, officer. We'll meet in front of the shack in the morning.
take the legal documents out of the envelope, a 12 to 40-month construction period, and the zoning plan in the addendum. Underneath all this, Lillian's signature and an empty line waiting for a signee.
Officer, what brings you up here in the rain? Ah, yes. The night before I saw you in the hallway and reminded you you're a police officer. Wow. Elysium. You don't hear that term often.
She's a glib girl, but she liked the wording.
There was the usual ruckus. Loud disco music. I can't say. Probably not. Sounded like you were flying solo. Oh, yes. Various artists. Ostentatious orchestrations prime among them. Were huge where I come from. I was very young then, of course, like 7. Life gets hard, but we go on. I don't know about that. At around 2 o'clock, the disco stopped and there was a change of pace. A slow, sad song started playing, like organ music on repeat. That went on for quite a while. Some of that time you were yelling along to it. That it doesn't matter anymore and that we're alone now. It was difficult to tell. The song itself was very quiet and soft, but you sounded like a wounded boar, sir. It was hard to understand what you were singing on top of it. Then you started screaming and trashed the place. A window was smashed, the tape player probably, the song stopped. And furniture too. A real destructathon. There was screaming. Then I think you passed out. There was. I think you screamed that you didn't want to be this type of animal anymore. I may have misheard, but it was sort of memorable. I went out afterwards. Everything was quiet by then, around 4 or 5, and that was it. No problem, sir. It sounds like the boys would have preferred my saying it did happen. I didn't want to get caught up in this.
She is not at all worried the tape will contradict her statement.
What does that recording say? May I suggest the stereo system in your room? I'm sure it plays more than Oh and the Sad Small Church Band. Mine, unfortunately, only comes with a mimsy little radio.
Hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything. Yeah, we still have those boom boxes on the shelves. Sure, let me have a look. I'm not purchasing any more clothing at the moment. And especially that tie. It swallows photons around it. I have no need for necrotic objects.
Your mother is a necrotic object! I'm fun! Look at me sparkle in the light of the projector!
Anything else you're thinking of selling? Another time, perhaps.
It's getting late, and you take the legal documents out. With a confident flourish, you complete your forgery. What do you see on the signature line? Indeed, to be honest, it does look very convincing. The calligraphy is close to superb. It might as well be her actual signature. But it's not, and the document will be nullified if she disputes it. That means Everard will have to start over. All you need to do now is mail the signatures to Everard's accountant in La Delta. The youth center cuts into the ocean like the bow of some The dented yellow mailbox greets you with its graffito and bullet holes in the front. Other than kicking, you were right. You drop the white envelope in the darkness. It lands with a soft thud on what sounds like a couple of letters. About a week's worth of mail has collected in there. They'll empty this very soon. Probably did the right thing. You can't trust that slug, Everard. You know he's going to play you somehow.
You missed a good show before. A kid came by and completely fucked the tree to pieces.
He fucked the tree up! Fucked it good! It was porno!
Shoot that shit at Kuno, Pigonort. The fuck about it? Kuno doesn't give a shit about the armor. That fucking had one thing majorly wrong with him. He's a fucking mutant. Do you remember how he looked? Fucking growth hormone shit. He's a giant. The armor's too big for any man. Kuno doesn't give a shit about that freak armor. Kuno threw that shit away.
Oh, come on. He's just pretending that he doesn't care because he's too small for the armor.
Kuno tried to get the helmet on. It was too big. Kuno kicked that shit in the sea, rugby style. That shit means nothing to Kuno. Get the fuck out of here trying to fuck on me with that midget shit. Kuno's 12. He's huge. What are you? Fucking 80. When Kuno's 80, Kuno can fit 4 of you in Kuno. Fuck out of here.
Trying to fuck on Kuno! Fuck out of here!
Yeah, that shit means nothing to Kuno. Kuno doesn't give a shit about material shit. Kuno's a fucking monk. You wanna fuck on someone about that armor? Go fuck the mustached union fuck. The jolly troubadour shit at the gate. Yeah, cock and boot. You know that jolly union cow fucker? Came around talking about cows or some shit. Came around pretending like he cares about cows. So yeah, he's the one you want to talk to. He's fucking crazy about that armor shit. Coming here pretending like he likes cows. Trying to catch a peep at Kuno's armor? Go to the gate. Ask him yourself.
Yes, this troubadour has it. You can feel it.
You're testing Kuno's patience here.
Get lost,
Kuno doesn't fucking care.
The unpromising race pupil returns. It's getting late. The bed is comforting. Across the room, the heating system hums its soft lullaby. The mattress feels soft and sheets warm. It only takes you moments for the world to fall away.
Thoughts, baby. A million little lights in the dark. You're one fine instrument, brother. All those faces and all those names. All that laughter and screaming and scheming around. Every corner and every street.
Recorded in you forever on Faraday.
No, you're spinning tapes at the discotheque. The great unceasing disco of the mind. The flash, the bang, the endless learning experience. On and on it goes, for untold hours. At the disco where you first asked her to dance. Rising, above the dark curvature, the great wingspan of sleep, studded with stars.
Behold, there are millions millions of them down there. The first time, the last time, the smoke in her mouth, the plotted flowers, the faces turning, changing.
It's the world, Harry boy, and you're made of it. Every day you're out there, you make more of yourself from it. I'm afraid you can't be unmade now. You can never forget this shit.
Beautiful. It's stuck on loop, whirling, spitting out words and images.
You're the son of the world again. Harrister, a ceaseless agent, picking up litter and old newspapers, collecting your little bubblegum wrappers and idiotic picture postcards. Meaningless keepsakes.
Reading your awful letters and recalling things, aren't you? The endless names of the world. An address book you are. The map of a city.
You'll go insane if you keep going like this. One more day, and you'll be in the loony bin. I just know you will. And for what, brother man?
For the working class. For the money, baby. For the greater good. For Revacol. Always and only Revacol.
Solving your little crossword puzzles. Doing your tasks. Crossing names off lists. Trying to become some sort of world detector. It won't make it okay. It won't put smoke back in her mouth. There he goes again. He's a real political animal, our Harry. He still doesn't see that it's the world changing around him.
He's got no idea what he's in for.
'Cause only love can break your heart. Beep, beep, beep. The alarm is ringing, Harry. The disco circus goes on and on. You barely slept 3 hours last night.
You can do it. It's nothing. Do it for the city. Go. Do it for the wind. Good. You're up. Listen. There's something that's been bothering you for a few days now. It's a suspicion, or a feeling really, that things are not quite in hand around here. Every day, things seem to spin more and more wildly out of control. The center isn't holding, and despite your efforts to moderate and contain these energies, things only seem to be getting worse. You've got to find out who bears la responsabilité. Harry, you're thinking about this too narrowly. La responsabilité isn't concerned with trivial questions like who killed who. It's about the real issues, the human welfare index, the price of staple goods, the transition to real democracy. The most awesome, terrible thing. It is human nature to crave la responsabilité and to deny it. That's why it must be distributed across many different organizations, agencies, offices, and portfolios. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This isn't some kind of dictatorship. You can't simply seize la responsabilité for yourself. It must be given by a legitimate authority, like a committee. There is always time to follow best practices. Once someone's decided to cut corners for the sake of expediency, who knows what else they're capable of? Swift, decisive action. Mass executions. Fun stuff. That's what they're capable of. Only the most even-keeled minds in Martinez. Your half-brother, the lieutenant, is a natural place to start. Together, you'll be able to discover who has la responsabilité in Revachol. And, if necessary, you'll have the wisdom and expertise to assign it among yourselves. Most likely, your findings will be collected in a report, which will be carefully reviewed by your superiors. Once they've reviewed it, those same superiors will produce a set of recommendations to be taken up at the next meeting of the Standing Committee. Rest assured, no matter what happens, it will be done through the proper channels. Good luck. Your report is eagerly anticipated.
Yes? I'm glad to hear it, Detective. I was wondering when we'd get to this very subject. If you ask me, it's past time for you to cut back on the smoking. You seem like a man with a death wish. It's quite disturbing. Why are you pronouncing it like that gentleman from the Institute of Price Stabilité? You know what? Forget it. What specifically are you trying to assign responsibility for? Now I understand. Next, I suppose you're going to tell me you need to form a committee to assign this responsibility? Fascinating. And here I believed your recent turn towards moralism was just an act. In any event, I am just a humble law official. I may work under the moral intern's umbrella, but I'm certainly not qualified to serve on any committee. You know who might be, though? That Mr. Villedroit, the gentleman you met in the young man's apartment. If I were trying to get in touch with the coalition, I would start by seeking him out. But first you might need to speak with his young companion. Now, was there anything else?
A metal payphone under a yellow plastic dome. You could use it to call someone, unless you're out of change. You hear the tone. The machine is inoperable. Someone has left an unidentifiable article of clothing on this railing. It smells really bad. The cloth, if you can still call it that, makes a soft crunching sound as you thrust your finger into it. It's streaked with dried seagull shit and tangled with pieces of seaweed. A dangling arm suggests that there might be a jacket beneath the crust of filth.
Please tell me you're not taking that with you. A clue? You think our suspect is a seagull who's been defecating on unsuspecting jackets? Me neither.
You should still take it. There's some tear, an empty cigarette package, and a crumpled kebab wrapper in the trash bin. 2 empty bottles of Tallulah vodka and a can of black potent porter is all you find. No, there's more in there. Livis strawberry liquor, plus some Pilsner bottles too. Better not pick them up. They seem unhygienic.
A tragedy.
He shakes his head with genuine sadness. Whoever tossed it here was a heavy smoker. The brand name reads Red Astra. You see traces of mayonnaise and ketchup on it, as well as a tomato wedge. The wrapper reads Shish Kebab Revachol. It's hard to concentrate in the smell. The smell, it's awful and familiar. Don't you recognize it? That hideous pungency, that faintly cloying sweetness. Only death smells like that. Something cold wakes in the pit of your stomach. Fear. The lieutenant has already brought a handkerchief to his nose. A man lies on the boardwalk, his limbs bent and neck turned at an unnatural angle. Right next to him is an empty bottle of spirits. In his cramped hand, a chewing gum wrapper. Half of his body has slipped between the cracked boardwalk, starting with the right leg. The fall has left him broken, contorted like a sad puppet. The smell is not as bad as a 2-week-old corpse, but it's definitely heading there.
Hold on. Lividity is faintly pronounced. Whoever this is has been dead for 2 days. No longer. We need to investigate.
Another dead body. This is your job. Steel yourself. Calm now. Carefully. Just another day. Just another dead body. Breathe. He's wearing mud-caked boots, beige trousers, and an old brown leather jacket with a bright blue lining. There are traces of kebab sauce on his chest. You find some sunflower seeds and a rain-soaked library card folded into 2. His jacket feels sodden and heavy under your hand.
Good. We should take a look at that library card after this is done.
The man has fallen through a crack in the boardwalk and hit his head against the metal bench. Coagulated blood covers his black hair. One of his feet is still dangling through the hole. You have to be quite inebriated to fall that bad. Well over a liter of pure ethanol, 3 bottles of wine, or 1.5 of spirits. His expression is dull, like the sea behind him, drops of water shining on his moustache. His eyes, empty and wide, look frightening in their frozen gaze. Height, 170 to 175 centimeters. Curly hair, stout build, age approximately 50 to 60 years. He was confused when he died, confused and alone most likely, overcome with the awful surprise of it all. He was just about to head home. The first step back home proved to be his last. There's some dried blood on the metal bench, right where the corpse's head rests. The floorboards are rotten and slippery wet around the hole. An empty bottle lies nearby. A chewing gum wrapper is clutched in his fist. A dried chunk of blood covers the hair at the back of his head. An open wound. It's sticky and cold to your touch. This is where he came out of himself, drop by drop, when he was unconscious. It took 3, maybe 4 minutes.
I don't see any other major wounds, do you? Seems like the head wound was fatal. It's exactly the shape of the bench.
They screech under your feet ominously. It's hard to say whether the dead man's weight was the cause of the boardwalk to break. It definitely looks fragile. You see waves churning below. Something cracks beneath your feet. A .75 liter Tallulah vodka with its cap missing. There's hardly anything left inside. It's mid-market spirits with a slight touch of menthol. The man meant to enjoy himself, have a good time.
Tear all around us. I'd prefer if you didn't collect them this time. It's not proper.
True. It feels disrespectful. Grabowski spearmint chewing gum. Green leaves on the cover. The man's mouth is half agape from the terror of the fall. The blackness of death. Stench. You think you see white chewing gum too. Confirmed. Nearly the whole pack is there. Solidified on his lower rear teeth.
He ate the whole pack, right? It's to cover the smell of alcohol before going home. The worst thing is, I've seen it before. Almost the same scenario, even the chewing gum. It's always the same.
In a ditch off a road below the 881, he thinks. A young father. Then he shakes his head to make the memory stop. The entire boardwalk creaks in the wind as you take a step back.
Looks like one of the locals. He'd have to know this spot to come here. You don't just walk over here. But that's just a lazy assumption. What do you think?
At least this man knew how to party. Imagine the same scene without the bottle. Now that would be just sad. This is an omen, a sign from above. Don't start drinking again.
Well, at least you're not married.
Or, what if you are?
But let's try to not run ahead. For now, all we know is that he's an unidentified middle-aged man found dead on the Martinez boardwalk. Death by misadventure. He slipped and fell through the boardwalk. A truly unfortunate accident. If it wouldn't have been for that bench, he'd be alive. Oh, yes. Some symptoms of acute alcohol poisoning could have definitely played a role here. Severe confusion, respiratory depression, unpredictable behavior. But I think that death arrived through head trauma, not liver failure. No, I don't see anything that points in that direction. For now, let's treat this case as a simple, albeit sad, accident, unrelated to the murder case.
Yes, but what if there's a killer on the loose? 2 suspicious deaths in such a short time frame.
Without any further evidence, yes. What about it? The deceased ate some kebab. It's probably from a nearby place, maybe in the box. They'll seal this place off after the news reaches the coalition officials. I doubt that they have enough resources to actually repair the boardwalk. Not that sealing it off would keep anyone away. All it does is keep the city council's hands clean. It does seem to be a pretty straightforward misadventure, although there's still a question of identifying the body. From where I stand, I can see 2 options. We either take the case and follow the leads to identify the body on our own, or we report back to the station and leave this for our colleagues to handle. A field autopsy isn't necessary if the cause of death doesn't appear to be criminal, and this looks like a simple accident to me. I'd say we should just write down head trauma in the autopsy report and leave it at that. It would save us at least 2 hours of unnecessary work. Maybe, but we don't really have much time or resources to spare. The guys at processing will take care of the rest. Alright, we should first examine the library card you found. Then we can call the station from my kinema. Let them know we are taking the case.
There's some tear. The library card is folded into 2 and still slightly wet to the touch. The front side reads, Central Jamrock Public Library Card, issued to Billy Mejean, expires July 53. Whoever owns this card is an avid reader. You find a list of books written in blue pencil. Radio thriller. Stand a little less between me and the sun. The last one in the list is The Glinting Curve by M. Theobald. A library stamp indicates that the book has been returned. Most of these titles seem to be in the sci-fi genre, some thrillers too. If lost, please return the card to the library. Dial 005 02 55211 or visit us at Moreau Street, 78, Jamrock. Business hours, 900 to 1800.
Good. We should give them a call from my kinema. See if we can learn anything about Billy Mejean.
You see a once bright mural towering above you. The signage has peeled off over the years, but you can still make out Feld Electrical R&D. A A slogan used to intertwine with the loops a long time ago. Now, only a shadow of peeled letters remains. It says, "Tomorrow is just a whisper away."
Looks like tomorrow never came.
And Mikhail noticed the windows, especially with how there are no windows on the south side. This was to deal with. You officers, come to investigate the historic subtext of West Martinez? I'm Tran Heilostam. You must be Kim Kituragi, right? I was just telling my son about this building. Not a lot of people realize the historic significance here. Very rich in hypertext.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, hypertext. Young Carp and the collection of cultural hyperlinks.
He's just making up fancy words. This doesn't mean anything.
Oh yes, so Mikhail. They had to deal with monitor glare, especially in the summer. They still had vector monitors back then. That was 49 years ago. So they didn't have windows on the south wall. No, I can't say that we've met before, but I've heard of Kim, of course. Mikhail, say hi to the officers. Mikhail's a little tired today. We spent all night trying to run Orbis on his radio computer. Have you heard of it? It's a programming language used in Grad. Quite tricky, but he wanted to play this Grad-made adventure program. We've been getting really into Worms lately.
The man speaks in the artificial cadence of a professor, or someone who's been on too many radio shows.
But I assume you're not here for giant worms when there are so many real things to see. Just as I was telling Mikhail before, this is where the Coalition landed in 08. We could be standing on what is the most interesting landmark in Revachol West.
This man is your half-brother. You feel it. But why?
Aha! But it's not just any empty old building. What not a lot of people know is this used to be the R&D department of Felt Electrical. And Felt, which now sells ink cartridges mostly, was once a top dog in the turn-of-the-century cybernetics boom.
Hold on. What's R&D?
Apologies, it's an acronym for research and development. They don't use it anymore. You're probably more familiar with RTD, Research and Technological Development.
It looks old and weathered, with seagulls picking apart its stone and metal carcass. Bushy undergrowth has taken hold of the collapsed rooftop. Some kind of bird has set up a nest on a broken windowsill.
That's not surprising. Only a vestigial ink cartridge and ferrotape manufacturer remains. They started out as a midway electronics outfit in Königstein 2 centuries ago. After an aggressive move to Revachol, Feld became a global player in the emerging personal electronics market of the pre-revolutionary era. Still, Tricentennial was beating them in business machines. But Feld had an ace up their sleeve, or should I say they were developing an ace up their sleeve. I'm mixing my metaphors here. It was here in Martinez, possibly in this very building, that they developed prototypes for a tape computer. An elegant folding mechanism of rollers and ferrotape ribbons, portable enough to be a take-it-home solution, revolutionizing business machines, possibly even bring them to the average consumer, which is a feat of engineering even today's giants, Rehm, ICN and ZAM, haven't achieved yet. Indeed. What?
The revolution!
Unfortunately, their moonshot project never made it to the market. Feld's move to Revachol backfired. The revolutionary government liquefied their assets and expropriated those very advanced prototypes, possibly from this very building, or one of the adjacent ruins. All of this was built by Feld, even the boardwalk. Wild Pines built Martinez proper as a resort for their middle management. Feld built this side of town for R&D. Yes, they even built a pleasure wheel, but that got destroyed in the war.
A pleasure wheel?
Perhaps reminded of a childhood memory. It's clear he would prefer there were a big wheel lighting up the coast.
Yes, to lure in their star engineers. This part of Martinaise was nothing but reeds before Feld arrived. They had to make the prospect of living here attractive. It was supposed to become a global center for innovation in cybernetics. But history had other plans. Oh, I'm afraid it didn't end well for the boys. But this story is a bit too dark for little Mikhail here. Now, if you were to ask about tape computers, they used them for military communications, but also to write and send out press releases, the most notorious example being Le Décret de Mars. What's the Mars Decree? I mean the radio transmission sent out to news agencies and world governments by the newly created Commune of Revachol on the 7th of March in the year 02. It's a beautiful piece of text, actually. A singer-songwriter I know, Charette, called it a love poem to Revachol on her political concept album, Bon Baiser dans le Lind. You should read it. Every local library in Revachol stocks a copy of the decree. I tried to get Mikhail to memorize it. Tried to. Someone was much too interested in worms to be paying any attention.
The kid takes a peek at the green and silver worm on the cover of the book, already forgetting about this part of the discussion.
Actually, no one knows. No one even knows what a computer made entirely of tape would look like. But word has it, they were very elegant, exquisite, alien-looking turn-of-the-century hardware. 10 years ago, I did a little freelancing, I guess you could say. I was a special consultant for an exhibition at the Womty Dumpty Dum Center in Vredefort, Oranje. It raised the same questions, and we had lengthy discussions with Paul Ockerman, who was head curator at the time. This was before the twins Keith and Guy Hughes joined the team, trying to...
Wait, did he just say Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center? He did it. He said Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center, like it's the most natural thing in the world. This is all ninsy-pinsy garbage for sissy people.
Yes, tape computers and Feld electrical. But of course, what else? Sure, what's on your mind? But of course, what else? I do have some money, yes, but that's not what's really important here.
He's not gonna give you money. What are you doing? Clearly you were just profiling.
Oh no, I don't have it on me, officer. I was talking in more general terms. I'm just spending time with my kid here, showing him around the lesser-known parts of our hometown. It wouldn't be wise to carry huge amounts of cash on such expeditions.
Not that he would have to worry about being robbed. He looks surprisingly buff. Does he work out?
I do some Lomantang stick fighting now and then. Lomantang stick fighting is a little like a Berolidin addiction. I've been practicing it for nearly 20 years now, so you could say that my doses have grown a little peculiar.
Wait, what does this man know about Pyrrolidon addiction?
You got me, detective. But my history should hardly come as a surprise.
Here's a former junkie. I can recognize when I see it.
Dad's fighting with sticks every night after dinner for 4 hours. He has a special room for that and a special costume.
That's right, Mikhail. It also has a meditative quality. Helps to clear my head. But anyway. No, thanks to you for having me and little Mikhail here to pick your brain. A very interesting conversation indeed.
old door, worn by elements, guards the depot. The wind has blown a sand dune in front of it. The door hasn't been opened in a long while. You see,
It's military, a service depot of some sort. The washerwoman mentioned a depot at the coast. She said it was for moving ammo and cargo across the bay. This might be it.
heavy wooden doors, more than twice your height, stand shut in front of you. The rectangular sea-worn ornamentation appears in stark contrast to the padlock, carelessly drilled into the wood.
If you really think we should get in there, we need to find some other way. It does seem rather irrelevant to our case.